Commissioner Ames is here on a conference call, so you may have to just
project. I am Ruthie
There
Davis,
you go.
the President and Chief Operating Officer of Pennsylvania Counseling Services.
Kimberly Ernest, the Vice President of Criminal Justice Recovery Services for PA Counseling.
Sally Barry, Probation Services.
So what we are proposing is that we conduct Lebanon Day Reporting Center through Pennsylvania Counseling Services in conjunction with probation and parole. We'll also be working closely with the District Attorney's Office and several other local agencies. The goal of the program is multifaceted, but initially, upon entry into the program, the goal is to ensure that they receive adequate assessment. So that involves both psychological as well as drug and alcohol assessment if they haven't already received one. We also intend to use the LSIR, which is a risk and needs assessment that's currently being used by probation. So if they hadn't received that recently, they would get, within the last 6 months is the rule. If they hadn't received that within the last 6 months, we would do that again to ensure they're receiving the right level of care. We think it's important, we place sort of the utmost importance on ensuring that these folks are adequately screened and assessed to make sure they end up in the right spot. Once they become a part of the program and they enter in, they would go through an orientation phase where they would also report daily to the program. The program would be Monday through Saturday. We had initially proposed Monday through Sunday, but through some conversations decided Monday through Saturday made a little bit more sense, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then a couple hours on Saturday as well, just to ensure folks have time to check in. They would come in, they would go through classes such as GED classes, spirituality classes, cognitive classes to address sort of criminal thinking errors and criminal behaviors. They would also have a case coordinator on site, and that individual would ensure that they get referred out to local agency services that wouldn't be held on site. We've already spoken to Christina Davis at the IU13. We believe that we have a good partnership going there, so we're going to have GED classes on site. We've also spoken to Lori Bowersox at HAC, and she's going to come on site to talk about opportunities for individuals who want to pursue higher education, but also helping with job readiness. We're going to have computer classes on site, things from resume building to dressing for an interview to email etiquette, which is very important in this day and age to ensure that everybody's sort of on the same page and doing what they need to do in order to obtain and maintain gainful employment when possible. In addition to that, we will also have case coordinators that refer out to necessary services. So if they have mental health needs or drug and alcohol needs and they require treatment, we would refer out. And we would refer out to a number of Lebanon County providers. So although we recognize that Pennsylvania Counseling Services is a provider in Lebanon County, we believe in provider choice, and have actually already made the list where the client just has a list of all the providers and they get to pick which one they utilize. And that was very important to us to ensure that folks had choices and options and can get connected into the service that works and speaks for them. Because if it doesn't work, it's not going to work. So we'll be doing that. We'll also have spirituality classes on site, and we'll be doing some data collection and working with a gentleman over at Kutztown to assess the program ongoing and adapt the program as needed. So if we realize that individuals that are participating in 3 of a certain type of course tend to have better outcomes, maybe it's time to look at what's working and pay attention to that. So we're really excited about having that partnership, that local partnership, and to be able to use that to inform our program and inform treatment.
We very much see this as a recovery program, a community-based program where we can keep individuals who are involved in the criminal justice system living in their homes, working at jobs, and participating in their family systems.
We want to give a reading of the, or at least get a motion to vote on adopting this contract. And it's been reviewed by our solicitor. There were some questions about item number 10, I believe it was. Dave, do you have anything to shed on that?
Yes, the only issue, and Pennsylvania Counseling is aware of this, is they're still going through the zoning process with the City of Lebanon to have the space approved where they want to have the day reporting center located at. So that right now is up in the air, so there's not clarity over whether they're going to be able to have the operations there or not until the zoning hearing board makes a decision on their application. So that part of the contract has a little bit of potential language in there for what would happen or what wouldn't happen in the event that is or isn't granted. Obviously, if it is granted and they can occupy that space there and use it for the day reporting center, that's our intention, and that would, the contract would just proceed forward. If that is not granted, that's where we have some contingency language in there. The language that you see in the proposal is from their attorney. I've reviewed that. I don't think that quite gives us the amount of flexibility we would like as the county in the event that that space isn't able to be utilized. I think we'd probably like some option to be able to opt out of the contract at that point as well, or at least have a discussion, which again, I know we have a good working relationship, or the probation department does, with Pennsylvania Counseling. I think more likely than not that they can work through those issues, but I think as on the county's part, I would recommend legally that we would have that option to potentially opt out in the event that we're not satisfied for some reason with other proposed locations they may use or whatever else may occur. So the contract as it's drafted right now does not give us, the county, that option to opt out, and I would just suggest that amendment in there in paragraph 10 that would give us a mutual option to terminate the contract in the event that we don't feel that the space that they would propose in the future would be appropriate for some reason.
Okay, Is PCS?
Yes, I talked with our attorney this morning and also with our CEO who's out of town. We can come up with whatever wording is workable. Something like on April 1st, parties will meet in good faith and discuss other alternative sites, and either party may have the option to terminate should the plan not be reasonable. Something like that, but you guys,
Yeah.
Dave Warner and Dave Schutte will work on the exact language.
And with that being the general understanding, I would be fine if the commissioners wanted to take a motion and approve it, subject to myself and Attorney Schutte clarifying that language. Correct.
Bill, have you been able to hear all that?
I have, and I would be willing to make a motion to adopt this agreement based on the satisfaction of language in Section 10 with our solicitor being in agreement with that new language.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I do have a few questions, if I may.
Certainly.
I think you addressed one of them. When I read the contract, it said 6 days, and I remembered 7, which Sally was surprised by when we had follow-up meetings. So that was an agreement with Sally and the judge. They're all aware of that in advance, correct? Okay, as long as they're happy then on that, I'm fine with it, but I do remember it initially said 7, and I wanted to make sure everybody was on board.
It's the same number of hours. It's
Okay.
just we extended some time during the week so that we could cover all, assuming that the majority of people will be working, we can cover all 3 work shifts. But then still allowing time for some programming and or reporting and follow-up on a Saturday. It's also a staffing issue with only 2 officers that are working 75. It would be a staffing issue to run 7 days a week for us.
Okay, well, then I guess the next portion would be that I know that as I look around town, you have some pretty well-maintained buildings and properties, and you mentioned 3 in the actual proposal here. And if I read them correctly, one is, I think, 200 North 7th Street, that's across from the YMCA.
That's our corporate office, yes.
One is 701 Chestnut Street.
That's our recovery center.
And then you have the one at 624 Cumberland Street. Or is that the right
And
address?
we have 2 others as well.
Oh, where
There's
are they?
one up on 6th and Weidman. That's our Children's Services office. And then at 618 Cumberland Street is Renaissance Counseling, our outpatient clinic.
Okay.
And 624 is the location for this program.
Oh, okay, so that's the new location. 618 is the existing. And so, my question, do you pay taxes on all these properties?
Oh, yes.
Okay, you pay real estate taxes on
Yes.
all properties?
Yes. We
Okay.
are not nonprofit.
I wanted to make sure that we weren't creating, a whole plethora of non-taxables, which would hurt us all.
No.
No disrespect to you,
Yeah.
but we do have to pay the bills. And then my next question is, are they all zoned the same way? I'm just curious. What is the issue with the zoning? I don't understand.
We believe that it is zoned, that the use of this building is appropriately placed for the zoning. So we do disagree with.
So that's what you're going to quarter?
Yes, yes.
But what is the zoning? I don't know what it is.
Office space.
Office, okay.
We're going to be doing education and office space.
Okay.
Very
Similar to
similar.
what you do in next door.
Yeah, it's very similar to what we do next door, and if the concern is the, who is reporting, in other words, what citizens are reporting, we treat the very same group of individuals at 618 Cumberland Street. In fact, I did pull up some data over the last 6 months just to see how many unique individuals were receiving group treatment, and that typically is, that group of people are typically mandated to be there for treatment. And there were 371 individuals over the 6 months, unique individuals. So
At the Renaissance.
many of the same would be receiving education and reporting at the at 624 Cumberland. As well as other providers down the street. T.W. Panessa is within 2.5 blocks, and I'm sorry, I've forgotten the names of the other two. But
J.D. Strife.
J.D. Strife, yes.
Inspired Mind.
And Inspired Mind, okay. And so yeah, there are more than just the ones that are receiving treatment at 618. But these individuals report for treatment, and if they don't show up for treatment, we do need to let their probation officers know currently at 618 Cumberland. So it is the same process and the same group of people.
Okay, and then I want to go back to the one concern that was raised earlier, but you seem to address it. But how many other locally present providers do we have? Is it Panessa? I heard you say J.D. Strife, Inspired Mind. Are there any others?
White Deer
Run.
Right Dear Run, okay.
Those are the drug and alcohol providers. Then we have Phil Haven for mental health, T.W. Panessa. Actually, all of them, I believe,
Right.
do mental health as
Yes.
well.
I don't think White Deer Run does.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
White
might not
Deer.
be dual diagnosed.
They're not dual
Okay,
diagnosed.
all right.
So White Deer Run and Phil Haven are not in the city. Are the rest in the city?
Yes,
Okay.
within
So
2.5
they're-
blocks.
So they're all,
On Cumberland Street. Well, one's on 9th and,
okay, so, but,
Two in
okay,
the 700 block, I believe.
yeah.
all right, but they are all in the city. And you're within a block of the bus terminals.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to think if there was anything else. So the transportation's not an issue. I think that's it. I know I went back and reviewed, I always air issues on Facebook to try and be transparent and let people comment, and you've got some real cheerleaders out there, not you personally, but the Day Reporting Center, so that would be kudos to the commissioners and the judge and probation and all, and I don't have any other questions. I just think it's time to do this, and I want to thank you all for your patience. I know we've been through a long process here to get to this point, so thank you.
We're happy to be here.
Any questions from you folks? John?
Yeah, has this already gone before the city zoning hearing board?
It will on December 21st.
Okay, because there was a mention of court, and you're not at that
No, that was.
No.
point. Okay, I wanted to clarify that. Pinpointing a dollar amount on this may be a little tricky because we're talking about the number that you're seeing, but can you help with unit costs or any projections?
There's a chart there, John.
Yeah, I can give you a copy of
Graduated.
this. It's a chart.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I did do some multiplication for a couple of them.
Okay. And when do you hope to get started on this? I guess it's very much contingent on your zoning hearing.
We're fully staffed and ready to go on January 2nd.
What if you can't get the location? Can you still operate
We
somewhere?
no,
No.
we will appeal.
The building, if the Warriors Cake Box is zoned the same way that the building next door is, which is what I thought I heard you just say.
Yes.
And it's zoned for office and you're already seeing people in the building next door. I guess I'm a little confused as to what is preventing us from moving forward in January. Why would that be a zoning issue if the building's zoned that way already?
I would say you're not the only one wondering that.
Okay, I didn't understand. The only two comments that I've heard, one was about the clientele, the type of clientele that would be coming in. You know, we already know that that's nothing new to that area. And then the second issue, I think there seemed to be a misunderstanding as to, I think they'd actually thought that people would be sleeping there. So I did make that clear that we weren't providing overnight
No housing.
No housing.
services.
No, it's just classrooms and offices for the staff. That's all.
And you know, not to depart from what you're talking about, but you know, the outcomes that we're looking for in the breaking this generational cycle of recidivism and incarceration. I mean, it's a proven track record that these programs have. So this is going to help the overall community very much in terms of quality and helping families and stabilizing things. And they're paying their debt to society because they've done something to get them in that situation. But the outcomes will speak for themselves. I mean, for sure.
Yeah, they need more than just treatment. So, just being at 618 Cumberland and the other providers, this provides them the additional help they need to break that cycle that you talked about.
I think that we have so many people who are looking for guidance, and what you're providing is that structure and guidance. But this isn't an automatic for people to go there. This is a special privilege that the judge and others who are with us have to approve. It's not something. It's not a guarantee for them. They have to earn the right to go there.
Right.
And so this is who made a mistake and needs a second chance. We all deserve that. We all make mistakes.
And that's why we're placing the emphasis on the assessment component early on to ensure that the individuals entering into the program are the ones that will best benefit from the program and don't require a higher level of care or even a lower level of care. I remember Sally had mentioned there are some like administrative supervision, and they wouldn't benefit from reporting every day. So I think that the assessment piece will certainly get folks where they need to be. And I agree, I think this will ultimately break some of those patterns of going to jail for a month, getting out, losing everything, starting over, and then just kind of being stuck.
Yeah, I think it's really important that anybody who might have, as Sally said, a misperception, the real hardcore criminals, the rapists and the murderers and those who are ringleaders for drug deals, that sort of thing, they go to the state penitentiary. The people we are working with in our community live here, work here, they're in the community every day, unless they spend a short vacation, if you will, at our prison. But here they're going to be able to continue working outside, support their families, and get integrated back into the community with all the help they need, all the supports. When you say you're not just treating mental health, you're not just treating drug and alcohol, but you're helping them to find jobs if they don't have one. You're helping them to find housing if they don't have it. You are providing so many services. Heck, I even read there, I thought, well, you should be doing our local 211 center because you were referring people, I thought that'd be wonderful if you guys could do that too. But I mean, I just see the whole package here. I think it's a wonderful proposal.
What entity or who is offering resistance to this?
The city.
Are we talking about the mayor's office specifically?
Yes.
Well, it would be the zoning folks.
So if I can answer, I think there was an application submitted by Pennsylvania Counseling to occupy the space and use it for this purpose. The city zoning officer denied it, so the mechanism for them to appeal that decision is to appeal to the city zoning hearing board.
Right. We actually didn't apply for permission to use it for zoning. We were trying to get a permit to add 3 offices in the space. And it was in that process that the permit was denied, so we couldn't build the offices. And although we have sufficient offices to get started, this was just for expansion. So it was in that process that it was denied, and it was said that we don't qualify to run the program there. So we've been working with the city to try and mitigate that issue, so we didn't have to go to zoning, but we did file the appeal, and we will be going to the zoning board.
What rationale did they give you for being, and maybe that's getting back to the original wondering why this hasn't been done, but what rationale did they give you, or did they just simply say, no, you can't do it because we don't believe it qualifies?
Something to the connection of the the penal system, which our attorney said the wording referred to people staying overnight, it being a residence, which is why Sally stated that. So that's not what it is, that's not what we're doing, but that was the rationale in the denial.
Thank you.
So it could very well be worked out before the 21st, and
We're hoping.
all is well. Merry Christmas, you know.
We're
Okay.
hoping.
Okay, anything else? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
So moved. We have a day reporting center.
Thank you very